good afternoon, good evening, good whatever it is wherever you are. My name is Katie O, and this is Musings. Welcome back to my living room for another Astrology Peephole for today, the 2nd of September 2021. We're in a waning crescent moon in the sign of Cancer, and oh boy, is it fun. Isn't it so much fun, guys? This is the idea. This is actually a friend of mine, and you're gonna know gave me this whole vision for this, but literally I was doing the astrology as I heard her say this and was like, oh my god, that's exactly what's happening right now. So it's like, you were a runner for a really long time, yeah? And you ran and you were really good at running, and it's almost like you kind of stopped doing it for a bit. You know, you just got distracted for a little while. Like something happened and it just distracted you from what you were doing. And you know, for a few weeks you don't go running. And then you get back to it. Yeah, and you're like, oh man, no problem. I'm going to be able to do what I normally, well, no, you know you're not going to be able to do exactly all that you normally do, but maybe you still have like a good expectation for yourself, and you start running and you're not thinking about it, and you go, and then you realize like you're 4 miles out and you're like, oh shit, I'm exhausted and I've ran 4 miles and now I have to go 4 miles back. Like shit, do I have the energy actually to get back now? And that's the vibe of today, my friends. There's no coincidence that this friend said this exact thing to me at this particular time. We have ran a marathon and we're thinking to ourselves, oh shit, I've gone too far. Uh-oh. But whether you think you can or cannot get back, you have no choice because you've got to get home, right? You've got to go home. You've got to go home. And it doesn't matter what route you take. Yeah, doesn't matter. You've got to be able to get home. And maybe when you were jogging, you took a few detours that you didn't necessarily need to take, right? But we do have to go. We have to go, and you can take shortcuts if you want to and get home faster, right? But there, in a certain degree, there is still a trajectory home that you are going to have to run, and it doesn't matter how tired you are right now. You still have to run that little distance. Yeah, that's just what it is. You're going to have to return back home, and it requires some more running, even though you're not sure if you can carry on. That's kind of what is happening right now. And I know it's difficult, it's hard, it's tiring. It's not easy, friends, but it is what it is, and we don't really get to argue that. We can cry and moan about our current situation, but the only thing that we can change is our reaction to it right now. Yeah. All right, we have 3 aspects that I want to talk about. First, we have the moon making a sextile with the sun. And this is the movement of the head and the heart towards balance at the home. Yeah, we've had this like kind of conflict of masculine, feminine within us. How do I possibly sit in my receiving energies when every time I'm in my receiving energy, I seem to get punished from it, blah, 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 all of these things. But it's like there is movement again, and with a sextile, it's a nice harmonious thing, and they are moving like towards healing together, right? Might be bumpy, but it's for the best. Yeah. And then we've got the moon making a sextile with Uranus. So this is change, right? Uranus is change and upheaval. But retrograde in the sign of Taurus, it's not like just sudden, oh my god, crazy, brash decisions. It's like something coming to fruition that you've been wanting to do for some time, something you've wanted to say for a long time, some person you haven't approached, some action you haven't done, something that you've been thinking about for some time and trying to get the I's dotted and the T's crossed, right? You didn't want to make a rash decision, you wanted to do it right. So it took you a while, but this change is happening now. Yeah, you knew it was coming. You wanted it to happen. It's still uncomfortable while it's happening though, right? You know it's still uncomfortable while it's happening. There are aspects of this, like yesterday I was talking about the rose having its thorns, right? We have this respect now that we know that even beautiful things, you can have too much of a good thing. And, you know, like this idea, right? Yesterday I even said, and I thought it was weird when I said it, I said there can be too much of a good thing. Healing. It can be too much healing, right? So some of you guys have been on this quest to better yourself, and they're like, you could have stopped, like you don't have to, like you're good, like you're ready to share, right? You're gonna keep on healing, but like there's no reason for you to be doing this stage of your healing by yourself. You know, like there's no reason that you shouldn't be collaborating at this point, is what they're saying. So yeah, I guess a little bit of a clarification for those of you who were yesterday's live were going like, what do you mean there's too much healing? There's never any, no, there's never too much healing, right? But sometimes there's a certain point where like your actions and your healing don't really, like you're healing stuff that you don't need to do the next step. Yeah. It's like you're studying mathematics, yeah? And you have a test on Friday about algebra, okay? And you're like, you're studying and you feel comfortable with algebra, great. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna move forward from algebra to calculus. And then you find yourself in advanced calculus class and you're still like, it's like the test you're taking tomorrow is about algebra. It doesn't matter if you know about calculus or not. You need to be you're gonna be tested on algebra. So like easy does it with the calculus studies for now, get your test about algebra out of the way first, and then you move on to calculus, yeah? That kind of a deal, one step before the other. But yeah, this time there's something that's happened, some sort of a change has happened, some sort of an event, some sort of a sudden, something has happened, right? That sort of undoes some of the superfluous, can't even pronounce the word, but they're like, use the word, do it. Okay, you know what I mean. Any of the superficial kind of crappy stuff, anything that wasn't fully authentic. Okay, maybe you were working towards the right kind of goal, but you kind of only went halfway, all right? This is kind of something happens that makes you go the full mile, makes you finally finish the cross the finish line rather, instead of like hesitating and going like, I don't know if I should do it yet. And like, oh, maybe I'll just like run over here and get a thing of popcorn before I cross the finish line. And they're like, are you fucking kidding me? There's a time here. There's a timer. Like, you're going for a world record and you're going to get popcorn before you cross the finish line because you did it faster than you thought you would do it? Seriously? So yeah, we're the stuff that's happening now, the decisions we're making, they may appear brash and harsh or intense from the outside with this Uranus energy. But in fact, they are extremely well calculated, extremely well thought out, extremely well versed, extremely understood kind of things. Like it's the idea of like maybe before you liked to cook, yeah, you really loved to cook, and when your friends would talk about making their dinner, you would give them advice about cooking because you really liked it, right? You were good at cooking then, yeah. But then you went and you did a cordon bleu apprenticeship with like the best chef you could find, and now you really know what you're talking about, yeah? You really know what you're talking about. But it's like, yeah, and now you're giving advice, and it's like it's like even better, right? Because what you were saying before was kind of already correct in a way, but now you have the knowledge to back it up too. You know, like you felt out a certain thing and you intuitively were doing something, yeah? But then when you went to learn it officially, you realize that all those things you were called to do naturally were actually what is properly expected when you do it, guidelines to the course. So those, I know that second example was a little broken, but these are examples that are going to pertain to you guys. Either way, something's a bit different now. And before you might have faced this situation in a brash, abrupt way, but this time, even though your actions appear from the exterior to be brash and abrupt, they are not brash and abrupt. They're passionate, yeah? We've talked a lot about the sacral chakra being misunderstood, about sex being misunderstood, about all these things. I don't know, now you're doing things with passion, right? And doing things with passion is being authentic, and it doesn't matter what people think about them, okay? If you are doing things with passion and somebody thinks, oh my God, she's being crazy, or oh, this is so brash, well, somebody that's meant to understand your passion is going to see it as passion and not as some problem, okay? So maybe if you've done something or said something that makes somebody react strongly in some way, it's because they're being sloughed away with all those things that you don't need right now, like we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. If you say something new and different and like completely out of the ordinary to what you normally do, and people are like, oh my God, wow, you're right. Or, you know, they might take a few days to lick their wounds, but afterwards come back to you and say, you know what, I totally see what you were saying. This is kind of the vibe. It's also the imagery of like having to do something for the better of the collective in a way. It's like scraping a festering wound, right? You've cut yourself, and unfortunately you didn't clean the wound properly, and now it's infected. So yeah, of course you'd rather just like let the skin heal over it, right? But you can't do that because that'll cause more problems down the line. You have to scrape the shit out of that wound before it can heal correctly. So yes, you are damaging the flesh again by scraping. But the thing is that it's better to damage that flesh to remove things that could possibly turn toxic or fester or turn into a blood infection. Circulation is very important right now, or whatever that may be. So this glossing over stuff comes to an end. Yeah, maybe you've gone half truths with people before. You've been meeting new people and you like most of what they're about, but they have an opinion that really irks you, and you kind of have been glossing over and not saying anything for a long time. And now is the time where you're like, you know what? I have to say, I can't. I have to say something. I've got to speak my truth. And if they accept me, then they accept me. And if they don't, then they don't. And if it takes a little bit of time, it takes a little bit of time. But it is what it is, and I need to be truthful. All right. The moon is making a square with Chiron as well. Chiron is our wounded healer, right? It's an asteroid that travels about, and it carries the burdens. Yeah, this is something about our burdens of our past. And a square is a challenging aspect, all right? So our emotions and subconscious are being challenged right now by our past. So we know we have to make these changes, right? But maybe when we have tried doing this before, we weren't so well versed. So going back to the cooking thing. So maybe you always intuitively felt stuff, and you gave somebody advice at one point, and they fucked up a recipe properly, yeah? And they're kind of like, you're like, oh boy, I don't know if I should give anyone cooking advice anymore, because what if somebody else ruins like really expensive ingredients, or like fucks up what they're trying to do for a very long time, or, you know, like, oh, there's sourdough starter, oh no. This tells me that you're reluctant to do something that you know that you need to do because of how it's been received in the past. Okay, you've tried to go down this road before, and it's not been well received. But the problem is before, when I tried to go down through that road, you were being brash. You were like, oh, I gotta do that! And you were just going at it without thinking it through, without considering it, without feeling it out, right? With coming to the balance of the head, the heart, and the home. Now you're actually doing that, okay? So you don't have to worry about those old wounds. They don't exist anymore. You have healed them. Your sacral chakra has been opened, my friends. You've worked these kinks out. And they might not all be gone, but you are at a better stance than you ever have been to actually take action on these things that you truly desire. It's beautiful. All right. So, I mean, but however, look, this is a square. It's challenging. It's uncomfortable. There is a disturbance in the force, my loves. This is very butterfly effect as well. I see that butterfly effect, kind of the idea that, like, you know, you could see like a little leaf, and it lands in a very still pond, and then it makes a ripple. But if you watch that ripple go, and then you expand, and then all of a sudden it's an ocean with massive waves, and there's a shit being tossed around, you know? It's like just the slightest little touch of that sea could, on the other end of that body of water, make a huge storm. This is the idea, is we're almost afraid to disturb the water because we don't want to make a storm on the other end. But my darlings, we need to. The pond gets stagnant if there's not enough water. This is what I hear very strongly right now, is if that pond doesn't move forever, it goes bad, okay? I made an analogy to a friend today. It's like, if you were to boot up your computer from your childhood, guess what probably wouldn't work? Yeah, because it hasn't, first of all, it's not had a hardware or software update for ages. But even if you could put, like, you can't, even if it was capable of taking that technology, like we're aware with our technology that we need to do updates every so often, like an antivirus software, right? Every so often it needs to be updated so that it is aware of the new things that come in to the interwebs that could put you at danger. I'm so not technological. So this is like maybe you're getting a systems update right now. Or maybe they've been suggesting for a long time, like you've got that little notification on your human being like taskbar there, and it's like update required, and it's been yelling at you, and you keep on going like, tell me 5 minutes from now, tell me 6 days from now, tell me 21 hours from now, tell me in 8 years, you know, like fuck this shit. I don't want to deal with the systems update. All right, but the systems update is like, now your machine doesn't work anymore. Now it's impossible. Like, you cannot do it unless you upgrade to the next system, seriously. And there are signs happening around you that are telling you this. The system is failing, right? What happens if you don't do those system updates on an antivirus for long enough? Well, your system gets absolutely polluted with toxins, yeah? Now, and I'm talking technological antivirus, all right? Let's not go anywhere further than that. All right, my loves, I'm going to get you a song. Today is a song day. They wanted a song. So I'm going to pull you a song, and then I'm going to pull you a little advice from my bag of tricks. One song has come out. What song is it? Let me get it off the floor. Waves by Dean Lewis. Number 25 breaks to a 7. So guys, lucky number 7. Or maybe old number 7. Anyway, I watched my wild youth disappear in front of my eyes. Moments of magic and wonder. It seems so hard to find. Is it ever coming back again? We once had magic. It's like we know magic exists in many different ways. However this applies to you, we know magic exists. But it's almost like we expected that once we understood magic, we would just always have it exactly the same way as once we discovered it. But just as everything changes, magic changes too. Yeah. So what once worked for you might not be working anymore. But it doesn't mean that because that's not true anymore, there's not a new truth to discover. It's just an evolution. We always need to constantly seek new system updates, my friends. We can't just be some even stones don't change. Look, speed up, tell a story, and fleeting. All right, your story has been absolutely kickstarted into high gear lately. Okay, there's lots of stuff going on, and the stories you tell yourself, the talk in your mind, the way you interact with people, everything around your life is being upheaved, it's being turned over, it's being changed. It comes and goes in waves, it always does. We watch as our young hearts fade into the flood. Yeah, it feels like we are being drowned right now. Yeah, but it's all for a good reason. This is a very brief moment in time. Yeah, it's a very brief moment in time. There's something on the other side of a river. And remember, rivers are all about flow. Water is all about emotion. You've got this beautiful flow of emotion. It's like a dam has broke. Yeah, the floodgates have opened. Truly, the floodgates have opened. And the water is rushing in this river. You're standing on one side of a river looking over at your destiny, whatever your destiny may be. And you know that all you need to do is cross this river. But the thing is right after a large rain, right after a storm, right after monsoon, right after a flood, the river's too dangerous to cross. You gotta let the waters recede. Okay, you have to let the waters calm before you embark in your journey to cross that river to get to your destiny. Stay put for just a moment. It's not long. The wind calms down soon, okay? The waves will settle, okay? It comes and goes in waves, my friends. Anyway, that's it for me. I'll be back tomorrow, the 3rd of September, 2021 on Instagram Live, Moon Mama Musings. Check me out there if you haven't already. Thank you all so much for your donations and your love, support, whatever it may be. I absolutely adore you and appreciate every single one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'll catch you live tomorrow. But until then, I'm so sorry for anything you're going through if I've made you feel a certain way. Thank you so very much, very, very much for your contribution to this circuit, for being a wonderful being. Thank you for your guides, my guides, to the Ascended Masters, to the angels and the dragons and the ancestors and whoever is around to get us these beautiful messages. I love you to the moon and the stars and infinity and beyond and back. And I accept this and hope you do too. But if not, that's cool. I'll catch you next time. Bye.